old starting in June, which is amazing. And I know some of you have not missed one single meeting, and I think you deserve a prize too. Like you could be my next volunteers. How's that for a prize? So I started Top Floor Women because just the women I was meeting were just amazing. And I felt like you needed to meet each other. And we formed our mission statement as inspiring personal achievement through connection. Because when we do connect, it's amazing what you can gain in terms of a professional connection, but also emotionally and personally, a new friend or a support system, and all are equally valid. So I want to make sure, you guys, that you have your chat box open. It's at the lower part of your screen. Feel free to introduce yourself, post your contact information, a shameless plug for your business, all good. And we'll be talking and making notes along the way, so you'll want some paper and pen. And if anything really resonates with you, throw it in the chat box. I think Melanie will be encouraging you. I'll be talking to you in the chat room as well. One last thing, Melanie is very generously providing a great prize for us at the end of today's meeting. So please stay. And we are going to do a fun drawing at the end. It's actually really cool. I can't wait to do it for you. So stay tuned. I'm going to introduce our speaker. She's got a really full program for us. She has taken literally a 2.5-hour program and condensed it and is focusing on the highlights of this program for us today in about 45 minutes. And the more I talk, the shorter it's going to get. So I'll make this quick. Our speaker today is Melahni Ake, and she is the founder and host of the Everyday Leaders podcast, which I have had the good fortune of being featured on. It was amazing. She's a coach and a trainer with the John Maxwell team and the Y Institute, which is what she'll be teaching us today, is what the Y Institute does. I am not going to say anything other than that the power of connection is being shown right here today. I met Melanie through Top Floor Women. It's how I ended up on her podcast. It's how I made a new personal friend between her and her husband. And it's why she's here with us today. So Mel, oh, we forgot to hit record. No, we didn't. Melanie, it's all yours.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Mindy. And thank you guys for joining. I know we're all zoomed out a little bit and we are really intentional about what we join. So I appreciate you so much for spending time with us this morning. And like Mindy said, I came to Top Floor Women in 2019 when I was having a personal struggle with like, how do I reconnect in the community? Because I had been traveling around the world with a medical device company. And some of you know my story, but it was exhausting and I was trying to figure out purpose. And so I came to Top Floor Women and met Mindy, and I've had some amazing conversations and connections with people back here in Indianapolis. So I live on the South Side, and I am really excited to be a part of this event today. Didn't think that I would be a speaker so soon into this relationship, but it is wonderful. And I'm so passionate about pouring into others and leadership. And so I'm going to kick this off. This is open. The chat is open. Mindy's going to help me with questions, and I will have time for a little bit of exercises. So I want you to lean in, as we say, and always, take notes and ask me any questions. I've put my contact information here in the chat. Everydayleaders.com is how you can find me if there's something that we didn't answer for you now. So I will, great to see Deb on here this morning. Fantastic. All right. Well, I will kick this off. Again, welcome and thank you very much for joining today. So, as I put this into a PowerPoint play, I thought I would start kicking off just a little bit more of an introduction. So, my story in Start With Why, the Purpose Puzzle, it goes back to 2016. And as just a brief introduction, I did join the John Maxwell team in 2016. And part of when you join something as robust as the John Maxwell team, there are so many components that come along with that. And so for me, I was invited to a Live to Lead conference which John Maxwell, as the #1 leadership coach in the world, he's just, written over 80 books on leadership and is a true, what we call papa of leadership. But he hosts these live events with 3 other leaders. And so when I went to my first event in 2016, I met Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek, for those of you that have not followed him, he is someone that has studied about your why. He started studying it many years ago and in his own company and felt that he was losing purpose. And so he really tried to understand what motivates people to do what they do. And so in 2016 was my first experience meeting Simon after following him as a mentor for years. So the pictures here represent that time in my life in 2016 when things started to change for me and I started to discover my true why. The next, just kind of push this in here. Perfect. All right. So, my other mentor, someone that I follow, we talk about mentorship so many times in our lives. John Maxwell is someone that has absolutely made a big impact in my life. Again, like I said, he's written over 80 leadership books, and his last book here is Change Your World. It has inspired me to do things outside of my comfort zone that I never thought possible. One, starting my podcast. Two, just pouring back into the community, redefining my life as a consultant and not really having to say, what does my life have to look like, in a corporate environment? Didn't really have to accept what I always thought was true. And as Kimberly Hambrick would say, it's about our limiting beliefs. So that's part of what my journey has been in rediscovering my why, which was taking back control of everything that I knew was possible. So I'm going to show you a quick video. This is Simon Sinek's most popular TED Talk called Start with Why. And so, like I introduced this concept, he was really unhappy and unsatisfied with what was happening in his own company. People were not connecting to purpose. They were just showing up, but he thought, we can get more done. And I just feel empty inside. So he started studying this concept of how we show up and then how we communicate with each other in the world to be more effective. And maybe if we did that, we could actually connect to each other in a deeper sense. So isn't that why we're all here today, to connect to each other? So I love this and I love this concept and I'm so happy to share this. So if you haven't seen this before, it's just a couple of minute clip, but it's a clip. Again, you can go on YouTube and find the most popular viewed TED Talk with Simon Sinek. And here's the clip.
Probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do 100%. Some know how they do it, but very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. By why, I mean, what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? And why should anyone care? The inspired leaders and the inspired organizations all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this: we make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. That's how most marketing is done. That's how most sales is done. We say what we do. We say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? People don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. Again, the goal is not just to sell people who need what you have. The goal is to sell to people who believe what you believe. If you hire people just because they can do a job, they'll work for your money. But if you hire people who believe what you believe, they work for you with blood and sweat and tears. Something called the law of diffusion of innovation. The first 2.5% of our population are our innovators. The next 13.5% of our population are our early adopters. The next 34% are your early majority, your late majority, and your laggards. That if you want mass market success or mass market acceptance of an idea, you cannot have it until you achieve this tipping point between 15 and 18% market penetration. So it's this here, this little gap that you have to close. Because you see, the early majority will not try something until someone else has tried it first. And these guys, the innovators and the early adopters, they're more comfortable making those intuitive decisions that are driven by what they believe about the world and not just what product is available. These are the people who stood online for 6 hours to buy an iPhone when they first came out. Leaders hold a position of power or authority, but those who lead inspire us. And it's those who start with why that have the ability to inspire those around them or find others who inspire them. Thank you very much.
So, opening the dialogue here, I'd love for you to put in the chat who your mentors are. So, people that inspire you, let's just talk about that for a second. How they change how you think, right? And so, with Simon, thinking about the order of how we communicate to each other is really important because you could have two different people in the same room, in your same organization, in your same community, yet they communicate, they connect to you differently. It's because of what they say and how they say it. So I'm going to take you through an exercise here. And what I'd like for you to do, if you have a piece of paper in front of you, I'd like you to draw just a rectangle. And in that rectangle, I want you to divide it into 9 separate pieces. So just, 2 vertical lines and 2 horizontal lines. And that'll make it into a 9 box. Just like tic-tac-toe, right? Okay. So as we go through, I'm going to introduce you to what Simon and Gary Sanchez, the founder of the Y Institute, have discovered that we all have a thread of these 9 whys of how we operate, how we communicate. And what's interesting about this is a very predictable process. This doesn't change based on our environment, based on our influence, based on our community efforts. It's how we show up. It's how we operate in our soul. And so Simon, again, was the inspiration behind all of this. Dr. Gary Sanchez created the Y Institute because he interviewed over 10,000 people in 10 years. And he discovered that these 9 whys were so true, and this thread of personalities were so true that he got with Simon and said, we've got to create something more, an algorithm that will help people predict what their own why is. So that's what they did. They joined together. Dr. Sanchez is a dentist in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so he went with Simon for 8 months and they put this program together. And it is, I can tell you, it is completely 100%, I think, predictable. Because when I take you through this, I'm going to share a story about my own personal belief before I started to learn more about the why, right? So, when we put this together, we start with our why first. When we understand what our why is, what happens is we get really clear and we can have more impact in what we do and how we communicate. So finding that, discovering that is kind of like all these other assessments that you may have taken in your life. The DISC profile, the Myers-Briggs, Colby, Enneagram, Strength Finders, right? All of these have some indicators of how we react to the world. Your why is actually how you show up. It's the first thing that you do naturally when you walk into a room. It's how people will respond to you. So understanding that from the core, starting that as the essential first step, really helps you build how you're going to communicate to everybody and everything so that you can have more impact. So I do call this the purpose puzzle. So that's why I had you draw this. If you were in my class right now, you would have a puzzle with 9 pieces, and we would be pulling out one piece at a time so that you could understand which puzzle fits you in the middle, and the center, so that you can understand how to build your own purpose statement. Now, as we talk about the brain, right, when we communicate, it's all about how we show up and then how people then react to us. So, there's a couple of parts of the brain that Simon talks about in his TED Talk that are really important. And so, for those of you that are science experts, we talk about the neocortex, right? And so, most of the times when we communicate, we're talking to the neocortex. If we're in sales or marketing, we say rational and analytical thinking, thought and language. We say we're having a sale. We want you to act on something that's now. We want urgency, right, to get you to move, to do something different. Numbers-based people are very rational, analytical thought, science, right? Data and figures. But when we communicate that way, it doesn't help people to move or actually connect emotionally to us. They don't stand behind our cause when we talk about rational and analytical thought. They don't connect. What we need to do is figure out a way to connect and communicate to the limbic part of the brain. So the feelings of loyalty and trust, decision making, right? Not the language, but actually connecting to a soul and a spirit. That's what moves people, and that's what will help you be more successful in your life, understanding how to start communicating from that why. So I talked a little bit about this. As you see, these are just kind of graphs here from all of the different personality assessments that you could take. On the top left, it's Strength Finders, and you discover all these things about connectedness and how to be a developer and a maximizer, ideation, activator. You may have taken these and say, you know, my number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you focus on those strengths as actions that you do when you show up to help people. Colby is up here on the top right. And so again, that is an action-packed. Do you explain? Do you maintain? Do you improvise? Or do you imagine? So again, reacting to things, right? The disc profile on the bottom left, you know, you may have all taken these in assessments. Are you a dominant? Are you influencer? Are you steadiness? Or are you conscientious, right? That's again the reaction that we have when we show up in groups and when we show up in our own families and lives and businesses, how we're going to attack something that we're passionate about. And then again, on the right, you know, these are all of, I'm trying to figure out which one. One of the other assessments that we have here, and just again giving you that power of influence, right? Of how you are going to show up. That is actually the Enneagram. So a great display model. So I'd love for you to put in the chat if you know any of your strengths, if you've taken these assessments, if you know what yours is, it would be great to understand what those are. So if you've taken Strength Finders, if you know your top one, mine is Learner. On Colby, do you know what that is? On DISC, I'm an ID. And on Enneagram, if you know that one, it'd be great just to understand what, if you've taken those, what your results are. This won't be a test on here, just fun to know. Because a lot of times we start to believe, when once we become aware of something, then we start to kind of step into more of that action item, right? So what I'm going to teach you now is the why. Yes, Mindy? Do you have a question? Oh, nope. Okay. So putting your puzzle together, what's right in front of you, thinking about people in your life that may act the way that you do versus people that you are challenged with, right? And so I'm going to show you next what those 9 whys are. We're going to walk through. I want you to write down these as I go through and explain these. So my first question is to you. I'm going to have you write the word contribute down. So in one of your boxes, write the word contribute. And I want to pose this question to you. If you have to say no to someone, right, what does that feel like? What does that really feel like to you? If they ask you to do something that is important and you have to say no, or you have to let somebody down. Because again, this is from our limbic emotional connection, right? Why we show up. So it's really important to kind of think into this. Um, all right, great. Oops. All right, and remember, as we're writing this and thinking into this, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. They buy your why. They don't buy your what or even how you bring your why to life. They buy from you, they connect to you, they support you, they support your cause because of your why. This is really important because I'm going to tell you a quick story here. When I learned about the Why Institute, when I learned about what Simon was teaching, I always thought I was a contributor, right? I was the one, put me in, coach, let me be in the team, let me hand out the water, let me hand out the shirts, let me just be a part of adding value to others. That's contribute. When I took my why assessment, I learned differently. I learned that I wasn't a contribute. And actually, I learned as I started to put my own purpose statement together that contribute's not even in my top three. And I was shocked. I was totally shocked. Kimberly, you know me probably the best of anybody on this call, but it's so true, right? I thought I was just showing up to help and add value. And although I do that, it is not why I do what I do. It's not how I can be successful with the people that I connect to. So it's really important to understand why you operate because then you can get clear again and stand out in your life, in your business. So I love this quote because it is so true. It's happened to me. It's changed and transformed my life and how I communicate to my family, my customers, and how I value myself. So the two most important days are the day you're born and the day you find out your why. It changes your life. So I've already had you put contribute down on your sheet. I would like for you to write the rest of these down in any order, whatever order that you choose. So the second one is trust. Trust, I'm going to just highlight these for you as you write these down. Trust is built on trust. If your why is trust, you operate from a sense that you want to be trusted and you will do anything to gain that trust, right? Makes sense. Makes sense as someone that you can see things that may be very complicated, a complicated process, but you can make things very quickly assess the right order of things and be able to solve those problems very quickly. If you operate from that why, it's really important. EMTs, right? Scientists, people that need to put things in order quickly. That makes sense why, when you operate from that, you can really very, very effective in knowing how you do that and why you do that. A better way. Better way is someone that is inventing. They see things that are already there and they want to recreate. They want to make things better always. They see a straw and say, that can be used better ways. We can transform that to be used in multiple ways in society. They're inventing constantly. Right way. Right way, write this down. Right way people in your life need order. They need the structure. They need the instructions before they will try anything. So, right way is at the very end of my assessment. It's the furthest from what I am. And I wasn't surprised by that. But what happens is you need all of these people on your team, right? Just like DISC and Enneagram and Strength Finders, it's to build the right people in your environment so they can help you in your and be reach your potential in your life. So right way people are the ones that always need instruction first. It's not their way, but there is a right way to do things. Um, challenge. Challenge is someone that sees something but says there's a space that has not been created yet. And that's what they want to do, change and challenge the status quo, constantly pushing to find things that don't already exist and create something. Um, I'm a challenge. I thought I was a contribute. I'm not. So I wasn't surprised when I started to learn more, and that what was so cool about this process. Mastery. Mastery is someone that has multiple levels of interest of things that they deep dive into. These are the people that you come to because they are the people that you can count on. They've researched and they know everything about every subject, right? They're the ones that immediately you can think of someone, okay, if I need to ask a question, I'll go to that person. They're going to know the answer. They're going to be the research person. Clarify as the eighth one. Clarify is the someone in your life that when you say we're going to go to the movies, they say, what time do we need to be there? What am I going to wear? Where are we going to go next? Who's going to go with us? They're always wanting to know more information. They want to understand. They just are constantly going to ask you questions. If you send them an email that you want a simple yes or no question response, they're going to send you back a 7-paragraph response because they're wanting to make sure that they're understood and that you can understand them, right? So, clarify, if you operate from clarify and you work with these types of people, you understand that that's how they show up in everything that they do. It never changes, right? Simplify is the next one. That's the number 9. I love this because you need these people on your team. If you're a Simplify person, you may only wear black and white in your whole life. As women that we pick our outfits out, right? If you know this person and you see them and like, oh, they only wear black and white. If you go to their home, they're very simple. They don't want a lot of clutter in their life. Why? Not because they don't want chaos. They just know that things kept simple are effective. So these people are great with, design concepts, maybe interior designers. They want things just the simplest, easiest way to get things done. So I would love for you to circle what you think your why is based on what you see here from your paper. Circle the one that you believe could be you. And I'm going to keep going to the next slide. All right, so this one, again, this is just kind of going over what we just talked about, but these are the 9 whys and understanding how you operate from that why first, again, never changes. It never changes. All right. And what we do in the why classes, we build on your why. So why you operate, how you bring your why to life, which is another one of these. And then the what is what you ultimately deliver to the world. And that's how we put our purpose statement together. So it takes a little bit of challenge. I know Mary Leone, she was in one of my classes a few weeks ago, and we continue the process of finding how it fits like a glove. So again, working out the steps, knowing what your why is first through the why assessment, and then building out what you believe, how you do what you do, and then what you deliver to the world. I'm going to show you a quick video, and this is about making impact, right? When you're asked to do something a certain way, and then you really understand your why, and you operate from that why, how it can change. So I'm going to show you this quick video here.
The series is called How Do I Know? And a lot of times when people hear the phrase, how do I know, the next thing they say is what? How do I know what? But the key really isn't to know what. The key is to know why. Because when you know your why, you have options on what your what can be. For instance, my why is to inspire people to walk in purpose. My what is stand-up comedy. My what is writing books. My what can be going out with some friends to eat. In fact, another what that has moved me towards my why is a web series that we have out now called Break Time. So every Wednesday at 3 o'clock, you should subscribe to the channel. We do a series called Break Time on YouTube. So 3 o'clock, we drop a new episode. One episode in particular, I'm about to show you a clip to. We were in Winston-Salem. So Break Time, this is how it works. I travel the country, I do stand-up comedy, probably an hour, hour and a half at an event. And in the middle of my show, I'll just sit down and start talking to the audience. And funny just happens. or I'll meet somebody who's really interesting. So I met this one guy, and he said that he teaches music at a school. I was like, all right, you teach music, can you sing? And then I'm just gonna show you the clip. Check it. So you're a musical director.
Yes,
Cool.
sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow. That bro could sing. You know what I'm saying? All right, all right. Now, once you give me the version, is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Right now I'm found, was blind, but now I see.
So here's the thing. The first time I asked him to sing, he knew what he was doing. The second time I asked him to sing, he knew why he was doing it. When you know your why, your what has more impact because you're walking in or towards your purpose.
So pretty amazing, right? I mean, the difference. And so that's the magic, right? That's what happened to me when I said, I'm not a contribute. Gosh, I'm not just going to go take a job because I want to contribute. I actually want to challenge the status quo. Made me realize a lot about myself, and Kimberly Hambrick would totally get this. But when a company said, I don't fit in, I felt devastated. But when I realized it's because I was challenging everything that they were doing, they didn't want to be pushed any longer. And when I realized I wasn't just contributing, that was truly how I was showing up, but it was because that's what really drives my passion. That's what fuels me. And so it made a whole lot of sense to say, don't get depressed. Don't worry about what you're supposed to do in your life. Like, show up as you are, and you will connect to the things, the people that believe what you believe. And I continued my podcast and continued my consulting business, and it has just quadrupled in this last year. So I have to tell you, when you start on the journey and you get connected to your why and you really believe it, things can be powerful for you. Um, Again, these are the 9 things that you've had on your paper that contribute: trust, make sense, better way, right way, challenge, mastery, clarify, and simplify. So if you thought about these a little bit more, if you said, I wonder what my why is and how I would operate from that. Sometimes, you think you're one thing, like I said, and you absolutely are something different. And what changes is when you start to put these in the right order, it can change the way people respond to you. So when we talk about order, I love to kind of finish up with this. It is really important. Like I said, if I showed up as a contributor and I was trying to write a resume for a potential job, a potential client, if I told them that I really wanted to add value to them first, that's why I wanted to help them, it wouldn't respond to them, because actually when I got the client, I would show up as a challenger. I wasn't just trying to listen and be a coach. I'm really a pusher and an influencer to help find a better way, which is my how. What I did was I would show up as a challenge. How I would do that, how I would bring that to life, was to create a better way to help them make sense out of what they're trying to create, right? And so the order of that was really important. And it took me about 3 or 4 weeks to get the order from my why all figured out. When I did, it fit like a glove. I redid my website, I relaunched everything, and it was amazing because things just started to click. I fell into that zone of, I get it. I am sinking in my life now. So I want to encourage you, if you haven't gone through this process, it's really important. It's just like the order of everything else in your life. So when you do and you know your why, what you do will have a lot more impact in everything that you try to connect to. It's just like the alphabet, right? We only have 26 letters in our alphabet, yet we have all kinds of words. Books are written. We're influenced by words. We, as writers, some of us, right? We know that we only have 26 letters to use to create the connection for other people. Yet the different order of these letters can make a whole different meaning, just like numbers, right? None of us have the same phone number. Yet the order of those makes a huge impact. We make one change and we will connect to some other person. So everything that you do in your life makes sense for an order of things. So when you get your why right, everything else can start to build in the way that you need to connect to the limbic part of the brain, that emotional connection, instead of the raw neocortex, right? That's the side that you can talk about, but you're really not going to live in your purpose and connect to the things that are valuable for you in your life and in your business as far as reaching your potential. So, in the why class that we offer, we define the why. We help you with your assessment of your why. We go through a deeper dive of the 9 whys. We put your how together. So, how do you bring your why to life? And then what you ultimately deliver to the world. Like I said, from those 9 whys, it's pretty simple. When I figured out that I was a challenge, then I knew I always create better ways and I really want to make sense out of things for people. Then I ultimately want to establish trust. I want to establish trust so that I can help contribute. Now, I thought contribute was my number one, right? So I thought I'm all out of order. But when I really got the order right, it made a bigger impact for myself and my customers in my life. So I want to encourage you to go through this process and find out how your steps can absolutely change your life. Um, it will bring passion and the fuel for your life and your passion back. The energy will come back, and you will be able to kind of redefine how you're communicating again to the world to make a bigger impact. Um, I'm offering this because you guys, when I do these workshops, typically we have workshops every other Sunday. And so on May 16th, I have a class coming up from 4 to 6. And for this group, I'm offering this as a 2-for-1, right? And so instead of the $500, if you are interested, you can sign up and register as a 2-for-1. So it will give you a huge discount, and it also includes coaching to help you start to apply your why in your life. And Mindy has been so gracious because with our time today, I wanted to make sure we had time for questions, and we're going to give away a why assessment and a why workshop. So all of you that have registered today, Mindy has been so gracious to put everybody inside of a wheel, and we're going to spin to see who wins that prize.
Awesome, Mel. Does anybody have any questions before I jump in with comments and spin the wheel? You can just unmute yourself actually and jump in.
I do. I feel like oftentimes when we take these different, tests, although this is completely a different way of viewing things, and I can, see the benefit, but especially the, what is it, the Enneagram, or I'm not saying it right.
Enneagram.
I feel like I've taken 5 different versions and gotten 5 different things, and we're talking in a month time span. So, you know, I guess the problem is sometimes it's hard to trust because I am definitely a mastery person. The idea of what is out there, you know. So I guess I'm wondering, is that why this is such a different view compared to those?
It's a great question. And I'll tell you, I was, you know, as a challenger, I was like, yeah, how is this different? Right. And then I realized this assessment is this predictable process, this algorithm that they have designed. And you go, okay, well, I've taken all these tests. Yet when you operate from this why, from this emotional part, all of these other things that we do, these assessments are the reactive part. Your why is your proactive.
Mhm.
That's how you show up into the room. The all of these other statements, like, you know, DISC and ID, and I thought, well, I'm an influencer and I like to dominate, but how do I show up, you know, with my why? Well, I show up as a challenge, and then I want to influence. That's the reaction part of it, and I want to try to help move things forward. And so as I started to put those together with my learner, that was my strength finders, understanding I'm not fearful of things, right? So for me, as I tried to build this and really started deep diving, understanding it, um, I'm not afraid of change. And so many of my clients, right, I'm trying to help them through change. The people that are totally afraid, that need the right way to do things, I get it. I take everyone through an assessment now because I realize that type of person needs specific instruction on everything that they do. That's how they're going to operate to feel safe and trust and confidence. And so for me, I'm like, but I know I am going to challenge that all the time. Right. And so I think knowing your why helps you establish your purpose, and then understanding other people's why, just like all of these other assessments, helps you understand that reaction part.
Mel, I have a quick question,
Yes.
and I may be speaking for others in the group. Do you find that things change, that your number one part of the 9 is one thing at some chapter in your life, and then it shifts to another
No, your
lead?
why is always the same. Your why is always the same. How you bring your why to life may change.
Mm.
What you ultimately deliver to the world may change based on your experience, your influence, your environment, but your why never changes. I mean, I can look back to, you know, when I was growing up and I lost my father when I was 5, and my mom signed me up for hockey, and it was on an all boys league, and I was 7. I didn't know how to skate. But if I was a contributor, I would have been like, well, let me be a cheerleader, let me sit on the bench, or I want to go play. No, I had to challenge the status quo. I'm going to go do it, and I'm going to do it better than anybody else. I'm going to create a space that doesn't exist. And then I go, well, it's because I was always a challenge, always thinking that way, right? Not just in situations where I had opportunities, but it was how I showed up in the world. And so, yeah, I mean, because I'm the same way. I was like, well, is it like this all the time? But it truly is. When you start going back and putting those pieces together, you will really start to identify and understand, wow, that's the impact that I can have. And maybe others have made me fearful of living into that why. And so, what do I need to do to change that? Right. And it's starting to communicate as you get really clear so that you can stand out and be the best you to reach your own potential. Kimberly, did you have a question?
I do. Thank you. I'm so proud of myself. I realized what the raise the hand was for. Um, so Melanie, you said, yeah, I always enjoy learning from you, but you said something that I hadn't heard before, and I wanted to ask about it because, you know, I know with DISC, we all have those elements, and it's just a matter of which ones are our go-to. When you described your why, you hit your first one, and then you mentioned another, and another. So it makes me think that we all have elements of these. Is that correct?
We do. We have elements of these. It's how you start, right? It's again what Simon talks about is your operating system. The essential first step is understanding why you do what you do. How you bring that to life is the second part. And so for me, my why is challenge. How I bring that to life is creating better ways that don't already exist. And then what I bring ultimately is to make sense out of maybe multiple levels of, chaos, that I can put those into a systematic order pretty quickly to find that better way. But why I do that is because I want to challenge something that doesn't already exist. I want to be able to bring that, right? And so it's building that puzzle, like I talk about. It's building that puzzle with all the things that you know about yourself, and then say, if I know that I operate this way, wow, I can actually communicate this
Mhm.
and make a bigger impact. And that's exactly what's happened. It got really clear and specific. And so, as I said, relaunching a website and being able to communicate to a whole new group of corporate clients in this way, um, when you live it and people are responding to you in a completely different way, you say, wow, that made a huge impact in my life. And it has. So, I can tell you from experience, it's been incredible. And some of my clients, I'll give you just an example. One of my clients is a photo organizer. And so she went through the class and she said, oh my gosh, I am a make sense person. So she was a biologist, she is a teacher, she is a paramedic. Everything that she has tried to do is quickly look at things and assess and then take what is and make order out of them. So one of the great strengths of Make Sense is that's their gift, right? And so she's always felt like it wasn't a gift. People looked at her differently. She was always kind of pushed out of a group because she was always the one that could solve the problem fast and easy. And so it was kind of like, oh, you're the know it all because you can make sense of this. Well, that's her gift. When she started to go back, she redid her website, she recommunicated to all of her customers about what her value was to help them make sense out of what they needed to do to simplify their process to help establish their family genealogy and history so that they could have that long term. She started to change the language very quickly and started with her make sense of why. She can't even close the door now because she has so many customers coming through. And she's like, oh my gosh. But to her, she always felt like that was not a value, right? Her value wasn't um, to really understand how to solve problems for people faster. She was, because of some influences in her life, she felt like, she needed to kind of push that down. And she's married to someone with a mastery level. So she felt underqualified if she didn't know all the information. Yet her brain operates in make sense. So when she started to say, I own this and I know that I can do this very quickly to help people, it just changed like the light bulb in her business. And so that's what's so amazing about this.
Mel, thank you for everything. You guys, I'm sure you have more questions. I'm going to post Melahni's contact information and links to her podcast and her website and her personal contact information so you can ask her questions directly or keep the conversation going. Does that sound good, Mel?
Absolutely.
Okay, and you'll provide me with everything, so I'm sure I have all of them correct. There's a lot that this girl is doing, so we can reach her in all sorts of forms. And let me ask you all, you can just raise your hand. Does she not have like the most amazing voice? I could listen to you all day long. All right, before we spin that wheel, next month, dun, 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 we are meeting live. So if you're vaccinated, if you're comfortable, if you're willing to wear a mask for the whole thing, but if you're vaccinated, you don't have to. If you have antibodies from having had COVID, come on out. We'll maintain social distance, but I know that we're all hungry for personal connection. And that's what this was all about, the whole reason for Top Floor Women. So we'll meet starting the first Wednesday of June. That's the 2nd. We're meeting at, and you can see their logo on everything that I put out. The barn at Bay Horse Inn. That's a mouthful. The barn at Bay Horse Inn. It's beautiful. And it's in Greenwood, and they have graciously invited us to use their space. We're going to start at 8 instead of 8:30, so that we have half an hour for the most important part of our meeting, and that's spending time with one another. So come with business cards or personal cards, come with an open mind and a willingness to meet each other. And I know some of us are less or more comfortable with this kind of networking. We're there to help you. We will make introductions for you if you find you're standing around and feeling uncomfortable. I promise we won't leave you like that for too long, okay? So don't be shy and come at 8 o'clock. It's the most important part. Our next speaker is Tanya Zion, and she'll be speaking about gratitude in the workplace. And I would argue that the workplace can also be your home place, your personal relationships place. This information can't be just pigeonholed into one place. Tanya is an attorney, and she has a mission to elevate individuals and companies to reach their highest potential. We're always learning, and everybody we learn from has something new to teach us. So registration is going to open tonight or maybe tomorrow. I'm kind of tied up in Florida visiting family, but we're going to get that registration open, share it, and please, get dressed up and come on out for a nice morning on June 2nd. Shall we spin the wheel?
Yes, I will give
I'm
you back
going.
control.
Thank you. So here's the deal. A few of you popped in last minute. I'm glad you're here, but we're not putting you in the wheel because you weren't here for the whole presentation. But those of you who have been here from the start, please take a quick look at the wheel. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
And make sure that your name is represented. If it's not, I can't see you anymore. You'll have to unmute yourself and tell me to add your name. Did I get everyone? Awesome. We ready to spin? This is to win. Mel, help me again. This is your workshop and
the why assessment and the workshop and
awesome.
An hour of coaching to live your why. So it's really an awesome gift. And I'm so grateful that we had this opportunity, Mindy. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Thank you for doing it for us. And I wish I could put my name in this. Let's go ahead and see who our lucky winner is.
All right. Good luck, everybody.
Dun, 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 dun. Kim H.
Kimberly Hambrick.
Yay!
Yay! Congratulations.
And that is what a great way to wind up our day, isn't it? So Kim and Melanie, you guys get together with one another so that you can go ahead and claim your prize. Use it well. I'm eager to hear about the clarity that you gained. So feel free to share on the Top Floor Women Facebook page. And I look forward to seeing everybody in a month. Thank you for joining today. Have a great one. Be safe, be happy. Bye.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you. Nice to meet
Bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Mindy, this was so much fun. Thank
Wasn't it?
Yes, thank you.
Melanie, I can listen to you all day. You're awesome. I'm going to sign us off, or if you want to just turn off the recording.
Okay.
We're all done recording.